Good Tuesday morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution, and also in part by Xyway brand fungicide, where you get an unfair advantage. Always read and follow label directions. I'm Joe Everett with today's farm news. Well, currently 38 degrees outside here at the farm, and a little precipitation moving through the area this morning, but we do see a high around the low 50s. Now looking at some of your agricultural news headlines. Well, the USDA will release approximately $20 million in funding for previously approved contracts that had been frozen by the Trump administration's push to overhaul the federal government, the agency said late on Thursday. The sum represents a tiny sliver of program funding the USDA suspended after the White House's broad freeze of federal grants and loans last month. Although the administration rescinded the memo ordering the freeze and it has been blocked in court, a U.S. judge has said the government was still withholding funds. USDA Secretary Brooke Roland said the released funds will go to honor contracts that were already made directly with farmers, according to a statement on the USDA's website. The USDA is releasing $20 million in contracts for the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, the Conservation Stewardship Program, and the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program. Now let's check in for some big things happening at Shawnee State University. Here's Joel Pennerwood.
$1 million is going toward the renovation and expansion of the Shawnee State University Advanced Manufacturing Center, the goal of opening new markets for soybean-based products. Barry McGraw is founder of Arable Research Lab and was joined by farmers and dignitaries alike recently at Shawnee State to officially sign into existence their newest research space.
Arable Research Lab started in late 2019, 2020. We founded the company at Ohio Wesleyan University. We lease their chemistry space. So we have a lot wet chemistry space, but in the meantime, we're getting good at what we do, and we're having a lot of clients ask for polymers and composites, and we really just don't have the capabilities. So we've been talking to Shawnee State, and today we're going to sign an agreement that says they're going to build a facility within their Advanced Technology Center, and that's really going to be more chemical engineering, polymer, coating space.
Bill Bayless is a Logan County farmer and chairman of the Ohio Soy Council Checkoff Board and also chairs the Arable Research Board.
Creates more demand for our product is number one. Now, in the past, our product is primarily soybeans made out 80% meal, 20% oil, and our big customer was the livestock farmers, primarily chicken. But now, as the world evolves, we see the oil is becoming a driving force behind it. And so we're coming up with all kinds of different ways to utilize the soy oil part of it. So we're trying to take the checkoff funds every farmer contributes, 1/2 of the dollar they got from their soybeans, put it into research, build the market for the future.
Soybeans are Ohio's most produced crop by acreage and the top export crop, bringing in $6 billion in annual revenue in Ohio. Reporting for the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joel Pennerwood.
Thanks, Joel, for the update. Stay tuned. We'll be back with today's weather after this.
Nearly 90% of farmers say that financial worries, constantly changing market conditions, and other uncontrollable variables take a toll on their mental well-being. Add in the weather and family dynamics, well, it's a lot to handle alone. But did you know farmers and their families can receive free confidential services from licensed professionals? Support is available 24/7 to help with the challenges you face. Look for Farm Family Wellness Alliance under the Resources tab at farmfoundation.org. Take care of yourself. Your well-being matters.
Here's the scoop. Soybeans are fueling Ohio's dairy farms, one glass of milk at a time. Nationwide, dairy farms use the equivalent of 229 million bushels of soybeans every year. Plus, high oleic soybeans boost milk fat and yield, making farms more profitable. From the fields to your fridge, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Welcome back on the Ohio AgNet. Today's weather brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
More cloud cover for the next couple of days across Ohio. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. After the very mild push yesterday, We are not quite as warm today, mostly due to the fact that clouds are here, but we've also got a little bit of minor precipitation trying to finish up moving out. It developed overnight. I think we're done with precipitation by midday, but I won't rule out spits and sprinkles through midday. Behind this, we see clouds and maybe a few breaks of sun late this afternoon. Atmosphere reloading for another area of low pressure to come across southern parts of Wisconsin and the Great Lakes for tomorrow through Thursday morning. I think that's going to put down moisture here across Ohio tomorrow afternoon through Thursday sunrise. That's going to be anywhere from 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch. Coverage will be about 80% of the Buckeye State. Behind this, we get much cooler for Friday, and in that cool surge, we can see a secondary batch of precipitation, maybe some wet snowflakes early Friday morning. Otherwise, we're just chilly for Friday and on into the weekend. A reinforcing shot of cold air comes down over the weekend. It's with high pressure, so I think we see good sunshine, but we're definitely not as mild as what we saw yesterday. Shucks. Moving into next week, we're going to be seeing a little system come through Tuesday, Wednesday. When I say little system, that's a bit facetious. It has potential for 1/2 to 2-inch rains. Coverage 100% of Ohio. Track is still up in the air, though. We'll have to watch that closely. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, innovative legislation to expand affordable health care access to rural Ohioans has been introduced in the Ohio legislature by Senator Susan Manchester. Senate Bill 100 seeks to offer access to affordable, personalized health care plans for Ohio farm families who do not have access to health insurance as an employee benefit or who are uninsured or underinsured due to high cost and limited options in the marketplace. Senate Bill 100 would allow Ohio Farm Bureau to offer individual health plans as a benefit to its members. This would be in addition to the Ohio Farm Bureau Health Benefits Plan that offers small businesses health care plans for their employees. This new alternative avenue for individual health care coverage could help reduce the number of Ohioans who find themselves uninsured or underinsured. The measure has garnered the full support of Ohio Farm Bureau. To learn more, you can find this full article at ohioagnet.com. Well, what does the USDA look at in the total number of farms and amount of land in farms for 2024 and what it indicates regarding the trends? Let's check in with Rod Bain from the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
USDA's latest annual look at the number of farms in our country reveals
the total number of farms for 2024. That estimate is at 1,880,000. That was down 14,950 farms from 2023.
Brian Combs of the National Agricultural Statistics Service adds that all categories in farm sales class noted year-over-year decreases, with one exception.
The largest operations continue to increase in number, so those would be those $1 million or more operations.
As for total land in farms,
we were at 876,460,000 acres.
Combs says that's a 2.1 million acre decrease from the previous year. What was the average farm size for 2024?
The average farm size did grow slightly, so that went from 464 acres in 2023 to 466 acres in 2024.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Rod, for the update. Well, a slight drop in dairy production has led to varied prices over the month of February. USDA reduced production by 400 million pounds based on recent milk production and cattle inventory reports. They showed a tighter supply of dairy heifers than expected. World Ag Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski said that the month-over-month changes on prices are notable. Meanwhile, all milk prices fell compared to the month prior. Jekanowski attributes some of this month's price changes to the new federal milk marketing order. That is especially true for class prices because of changes to how they are calculated. Well, federal courts reported that 216 farm bankruptcies were filed in 2024, up 55% from 2023. All but one region had increased in Chapter 12 bankruptcy filings last year. Bankruptcy filings in territories and states outside of the 48 states more than tripled in 2024, hitting a 5-year high of 14 bankruptcies. However, this is still lower than any year between 2007 and 2019. Well, USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins, a former policy advisor to President Trump in his first term, is all on board with her boss's government downsizing, including at her huge department. Rollins brings her conservative policy credentials to USDA after heading 2 conservative think tanks and having the president's ear as his earlier acting domestic policy advisor. Rollins weighs in on Trump's orders to vastly downsize federal government during an interview on AgriPulse's Open Mic.
untold numbers of new people that have come to work for the government, the climate programs, the DEI programs. Just in the last 24 hours, we've canceled almost 100 DEI programs.
But while in the process, froze farm conservation and equipment contracts and targeted local farm to food programs with any diversity connection, all despite multiple court restraining orders. USDA told the Washington Post there's not a blanket freeze and that Rollins freed up $20 million last week for some EQIP, CSP, and ACEP contracts and vowed for more announcements. Rollins insisted the goal is to redirect savings to farmers, not to upend vital services as USDA shrinks.
The great people working in the local FSA offices and the other offices, those are the people that we will rely on the most to make sure that we're doing our job, that we're measuring our success.
Meanwhile, Rollins has a new target in mind.
The SNAP program, which is food stamps, has grown 30 to 40% just in the last 4 years. That's billions and billions of dollars.
South Dakota Representative Dusty Johnson planned to reintroduce his bill to further boost SNAP work requirements, while the House this week votes on a budget that directs the Ag Committee to cut $230 billion by 2034. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the grain analysis in your overnight markets after this.
Morton Buildings is holding their annual Building Value Day sales event running now through the end of February. Morton Buildings are built stronger, last longer, and look better. So if you're planning for a garage, farm shop, stall barn, a storage building for your RV, boat, or collectibles, or anything in between, act now and contact one of their 4 Ohio offices by visiting mortonbuildings.com or call 800-447-7436 to take advantage of their current savings on select new buildings. Certain restrictions may apply. This offer is available on select building styles. Contact your local construction center for more details.
It's now time for today's market analysis, which is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Call 574-566-2113 for more information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished red on a Monday to start the week. Now we have to sit here and wonder whether we got Turnaround Tuesday coming anytime soon today. Looking back at yesterday's action, deeply red on corn, beans, and Chicago and KC wheat. We were a little bit better on Minneapolis wheat overall. Chart-based selling drove the Board of Trade lower yesterday. There was not much bullish to come into the marketplace to try and counteract that move lower. Argentina's rain is now said to be excessive over the next 10 days. So you know what? They complain about being too dry, and now they're saying excessive rains in the forecast. We'll see. I think it's going to be exactly in line with what is needed, maybe a little bit on the heavier side, but it's going to be fine for crop development at this point in time. Weekly corn and soybean inspections failed to provide any bullish fodder for the bull. It's needed on a near daily basis. Corn inspections for the week ending Feb 20 totaled 45 million bushels, down from 64 million the previous week. Soybean inspections 32 versus 27 the previous week, but versus 39 million the same week a year ago. Bean inspections have failed to match year-ago levels in the last 6 weeks. Wheat inspections totaled 14 million bushels versus 9 the previous week. Now, when you look at year on year, to date, the U.S. exporters have shipped about 32% higher totals this year than last year on corn. On soybeans, we're up 11% year on year, wheat up 21% year on year, but the pace is slowing significantly, and it says that USDA probably will leave their annual crop export forecasts unchanged in the March WASDE. The other thing in the market here this week, late week, the World Outlook Board Forum is supposed to put out their next estimates, and it's going to be heavy on corn from what we're hearing out of the pre-report guesses, and light on soybeans. That got a lot of chatter in the marketplace yesterday. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Looking at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. March corn 483.5, up a penny. December new crop corn 470 3/4, no change. March soybeans 1032, up 3. November soybeans 1053, up 1 1/4. July wheat 607 3/4, down 1/4. In livestock from yesterday's close, February live cattle 198.90, up $1.07. April live cattle 195.10, up $1.15. April lean hogs 87.40, down 27 cents. May lean hogs 91.50, down 45 cents. April feeder cattle 272.02, up $4.47. and Mayfeeder cattle $270.35, up $4.42. This is the Ohio AgNet.